All right, guys, welcome back to Heel Report presented by TarHeel247.com. I'm Jacob Turner. He's Tar Heel 24/7 publisher. Andrew Jones and AJ, we're here for another edition of our UNC basketball look-ahead series, and we are wrapping up Seth Trimble week on our website. Real quickly, AJ, just as a reminder to people, I know you pushed some stuff back this week, but just let people know kind of how, as a reminder, the content schedule that we kind of run out every week leading up to the season.
It's funny. Some people I know are like, oh, open date, you get a little time to push back.
No.
We don't have automatic content like press conferences.
You save a couple trips to the Chapel Hill, but that's about it on a bye week.
Yeah. I was able to get the 10,000 steps in one swoop a lot this week. That helps. So
That's nice.
Every week, we're featuring a different scholarship basketball player. This week is Seth Trimble week. Generally, we do a feature story Monday, that player's by the numbers Tuesday, that player's 6 best games from last year and what they might mean on Wednesday, David Sisk film review on Thursday, and then a podcast we talk about on Friday. So we kind of hit everybody in all the different angles, different types of ways different ways people want to consume content. And we're just pushed Seth in the middle of the week back a day because there was so much stuff going on with other things. And we just felt like with no football Saturday that we could have a chance to maybe invest in some more deep research football pieces to stretch the week out a little bit. And we thought we would push Seth to Saturday because Friday we had the Trimble film review. I had a huge basketball intel piece about practice. And then, of course, we had a report about some new staffers hired on the basketball front as well. We didn't want to have 4 basketball pieces on Friday. We want to have 3, so we have one Saturday. So it's pretty wild, the stuff that goes on when you decide to move up a piece, move back a piece, try to balance content out each day and hit all the appetites that different subscribers have. Not every subscriber wants the exact same thing in the exact same manner every day of the year. So we do try to differentiate, change things up, throw in some things here. I know that Noah had a couple features this week we added. So we tried to check every box that people want. So Seth is a Saturday podcast. So when you're watching college football today, you can pop in and listen to a little bit about Seth.
Yeah, you get a little reprieve from the college football. Great slate this weekend, too. It is kind of nice to have a bye week this week because there are a lot of good games. Starts on Friday night, but there's a lot of good games. A lot of good games this week.
I'm glad to actually be – I was supposed to go to my high school reunion this week, and I chose not to for 2 reasons. Number one, because there's so much going on, I could not get it done by Thursday. And because I promised my daughter I'd spend time with her Thursday, so I did that, and I would have had to choose one or the other, and I didn't want to have to make that choice because I don't want to cut short on the work and I don't want to go back on my word with my daughter. The other thing is I have 3 straight Fridays in October where I'm in Berkeley, California, the next week Salt Lake City, Utah, and the next week Syracuse, New York. I mean, I got to pace myself. We got the heavy travel coming, so I got to pace myself. Tough. And that's what made Seth an easy player this week because, like this podcast, I mean, Seth is an easy podcast, right?
He is, yeah. It shouldn't take us 30 minutes.
Podcast because there's so many wonderful things about him that it makes it easy to just kind of throw things out there and give people the warmies about Seth Trimble.
Yeah, we've set a goal coming into this one of, all right, we're going to go about 15 on this. So we need to dive into it because we're like, we cannot go 30 minutes on Seth Trimble. It's no disrespect. We kind of know what Trimble is in a lot of ways.
You can.
Yeah, you could.
But people know Seth. That's the thing. It's interesting. The Seth numbers didn't do as well as some of the others because people already know him really, really well. They love him, and I think the fan base loves him big time because he's a 4-year guy in an era without many 4-year guys. But at the same time, they want to know more about some of the other guys. So we don't actually know who our player next week is yet. We haven't decided.
Ooh. Guess in the comments who you think we're going to do next week. Let us know below.
We've been doing this since the second week of August, so we're only doing the scholarship players, and the freshmen are going to be a little bit different because there are no games to call back on from last year. Luka's going to be a little bit different, is because if I isolate 6 games that he played last year, what will that mean to anybody?
That's what I'm saying.
I don't think they'll really understand. So we're going to get creative with how we did the 3 freshmen and Luka.
Yeah, we're looking forward to doing those as well as I mess with my curtain for the third time. I can't stand the light. Sorry to vent real quick. I can't stand the lighting in my office, man. It's like I got a window right here. I got some lights right here, and it's just like no matter what, I look too dark or I look too bright. I'm getting so sick and tired of it, man. I spend 30 minutes before every podcast trying to get my lighting right, and it just looks like crap every time. So I apologize to the people. Hopefully you're not watching us anyway. You'd probably rather listen to us than look at me and AJ's face. But if you see me over here messing with this curtain for the 6,000th time, it's because the sun's deciding to pop out and hit me in the face. So sorry, I had to vent that real quick.
Somebody's time stamping this to when we actually start talking about Seth. I've already talked
I hope they do. I hope they do. We deserve it. We deserve
ice cream owner, ice cream shop owner. He's got hops. Nice guy.
Had a good season last year. Best season in Carolina last year.
The thing I really like about him as we do talk about him, and we're going to unconventionally dive into this. One of the things I really admired a lot about him last season was he was shooting really well from the perimeter and then went into a tailspin and didn't really recover. And in fairness to him, I was standing next to him. I don't know where it was. I don't remember where it was. It could have been Blacksburg. I'm not sure.
Good game that night.
Someone had said something to him. He hit a couple threes that night. Someone said something to him about his perimeter shot and how, boy, the concussion really messed it up. And Seth corrected him and said, no. My slump started 2 weeks before the concussion. And that's the thing that I think Carolina fans need to know. They know about his game. They need to know more about him. And he's the same guy that called out the team at Little John, was so close. And I've kind of teased him about how close he was at naming names. He's also the same guy that corrected someone to note, hey, I started missing a ton of three-pointers before the concussion. And I like that because there's real life accountability. He understands that, my shot, I really got to work on the shot. I can't blame it on the concussion. Now, he did acknowledge the concussion affected him a lot in other ways. And his game was hurt by the concussion. But when it comes specifically to the shooting, because now that we're throwing his numbers out this week, some fans have been parsing over the shooting numbers and stuff. And he embraces that in the sense that he's got to be better. He didn't go into the offseason fooling himself thinking, well, everything was great until the concussion. And that's what I like about him. That's the competitor in him. That's the dude who's passionate about getting better. And I think he's also very passionate about being up front. I mean, there's no BS with what he talks about. That makes him a great spokesman for this team, especially the right guy that you have back as the only guy you have back on a team of a bunch of new players. You've got a guy who understands the DNA in that place from head to toe. And he's also very open and honest, and he plays for the front of the jersey. So you could go back to a lot of other years and chosen a really good senior to be on a team with these other guys that come in, but maybe they weren't the right personality for it. Seth is the right personality for it. And I think it's an under discussed attribute of his and of this team that they have him.
Yes.
The other guys are going to talk. I think Kyan Evans is going to be a guy who talks to us and is representative. Henry is going to do the same thing. I think Caleb Wilson's a guy that he's a freshman you go to, you can get a legit vibe from. But Seth is going to be the guy, and he's the right guy, because if they're not playing well, he's going to say they're not playing well. If they're playing at a certain – remember when Brady Manek made the comment in like late November, early December, the year he was at Carolina, he said, this isn't why I came here. I could see Seth making a comment like, guys, this isn't why I came back. I didn't come back to have a fourth year or more of this crap. I could see him saying stuff like that. And I could also see him saying, guys, this is why I came back for the fourth year. This is why I went out to dinner with each one of these guys. And this is why I told Hubert, we need Kyan for this reason. We need Henry for this reason. We need Jaron for this reason. We need Jonathan for that reason. Because he had a vision of how all this could come together. I think Seth is smart enough, experienced enough, aware enough to be able to have some of those visions. So his season to me isn't just about the stats, but it's about how he represents. It's about what he says. It's about how often is Seth saying something really super positive? How often is Seth fighting the negative tone that he knows has to come out because it's being forthright.
You hit the nail on the head. And shout out to the guy in the comments that just says, I only agree with AJ. What do you want me to say here? That AJ is absolutely wrong and Seth Trimble has no leadership skills? I mean, Jesus Christ, dude. Sorry I'm venting today, AJ, because between this lighting and some people, I'm letting it fly today.
Hey, I'm being really good because I've had like 400 deliveries, and for some reason our dog is not feeling well. So the dog has decided not to go full, German tanks going into Poland 1939 mode here.
Yeah. Thank God.
Because you would think that bless Max's heart, rest in peace. Max would just be irate. We'd have to pause the podcast if Max was still.
Oh yeah, it's not like he never jumped through a window before to get an Amazon.
I think FedEx. I swear to you, FedEx, Amazon, and U.S. Mail are all within 3 houses of my house right now.
Just making a living off your community over there.
None of them have come to our door yet, which is the most shocking upset of the day.
Yeah, that is amazing. That is
because
amazing.
As prolific as my wife is with ordering crap, and she goes and gets it and runs off with it before I get a chance to see what it is.
Yeah, she don't want you to see that.
She's not here right now.
So there you go. Now, yeah, you're the only one who can see it now. She ain't got no choice.
And but of course, the dog's up looking out the window now. So let's.
Yes, yeah, we probably just jinxed it. But everything you said is right because I came into this podcast and my number one thing about Trimble is forget the X's and O's, forget the points per game, forget the athleticism, forget the scoring ability, forget the defensive ability. The number one thing that Seth Trimble brings to this team is leadership. That is one of the most important things. It is the most important thing, in my opinion, that he brings to this team because this is a team full of new guys. This is a team full of guys. Only 3 people on the roster that have ever played North Carolina uniform is Seth Trimble, who's long and away in terms of minutes he's played compared to these next 2. James Brown didn't play a lot as a freshman. And Zayden Nye, who, went back to Arizona for a year and came back.
Well, he was around.
He was around, but he wasn't on the team. Let's just put it that way. So you need, in my opinion, a been there, done that guy. You need a guy that when the bullets start flying, when Kansas comes to Chapel Hill, and maybe things aren't going well early, and the bullets are flying past you and the fans are getting upset and there's a little bit of like, uh-oh, what is this team going to do? That you can look to and say, well, he's been here before. He's done it here before. He's been on a team that was a number 1 seed in the NCAA tournament. They underachieved in that tournament, yes, but he's been on a team. He's been on the teams that have struggled and not lived up to the expectations of North Carolina. The things that Seth Trimble has seen in his 3 years at North Carolina, you talk about a guy that has seen the lows of the lows and the highs of the highs, man. He is a been there, done that guy. And when you have all this newness on a team and you have all these guys that don't understand fully because they haven't played in it yet, I don't care how good you are, where you came from. I personally don't believe that you fully understand the weight of playing and what that jersey means until you've actually done it. You can kind of get it and you can look up a little bit in practice and say, man, that's a lot of laundry up in them rafters. And you can look at the history and you get the importance of playing here, but until you actually do it and feel it and actually experience it, you don't know what it's like. But you've got a guy over here who has. And that is so vitally important to this team because of all the newness there, because of all these parts that kind of have to come in and gel and learn how to play in North Carolina system, learn how to play for Hubert Davis, learn how to play with each other. At least you've got a guy on the roster you can look to who's done it before. Oh, and not to mention, he's pretty good too. I mean, he's coming off his best year in North Carolina last year. Averaged 11.6 points per game, 5 rebounds, 1.3 assists, started in 18 games, played 974 of UNC's 1,027 returning minutes. He's the most experienced player on the team coming back by a country mile. He's versatile. He's going to be a key contributor on this team. He's a really, really good defender. And I think his offensive game can go up. Now, can it hit Memphis levels we saw in preseason based off last year? No, that was a flare up and he never quite got back to that level. But we've seen it happen before. So I just think Seth Trimble is so vitally important to this team, not only because of his on-the-court ability, AJ, but I think most importantly, what he brings in that leadership ability, and that is on the court too, but that is a lot of off the court stuff that I alluded to there. So I'm expecting a big year out of him. Now, what that looks like statistically, I don't know. I mean, you saw a big jump last year. I think his points per game numbers essentially doubled from his sophomore to junior year last year. And I thought he left a lot of points out there. I mean, I think one of the biggest things, I want to get your take on this, that I think he can improve on. It'd be nice if that 3-point shot can improve. But just finishing around the rim, man, you talk about a guy that is athletic and quick as he is. He missed way too many layups last year. He tried to play around contact way too much and kind of finesse his way to the rim. And it's one of the things you learn in basketball when you start playing is when you're going up for a layup, man, go into that contact. Don't try to, lean away from it, because that's what you're more prone to miss the shot when you do that. And if you go into the contact in college basketball, you're probably going to get fouled, because if you touch someone in college, it's a foul. So there are a lot of things in his game that I think can improve, but I really wanted to hit on that leadership thing, because I think that is the most important thing that he brings to this team.
If he could take something from his brother's game, it would be flushing in traffic. JP had no problem terrorizing people, flushing in traffic.
I think he can do it. I think that was a part of his game last year that was frustrating, of like, man, you have the ability.
Something Hubert has harped on. Yes. Hubert has harped on it. He gets up there and Seth wants to be really pretty with the ball and kind of lay it in, and he has such hang time, he can afford to kind of do that stuff.
It's too much finesse.
He needs to try to kill the ball. He should dunk it so hard that when the ball hits the floor, it pops.
And we've seen him do it. That Virginia Tech game you talked about, play that stands out in my head.
JP did that. He needs to add that. But the other thing about why his numbers do matter, the guys that are there haven't been through a season with him yet. They've been through an off season with him, but they haven't been through results and performance. And once the games actually start, the guys who produce are the ones that usually step forward within the walls of that team. So Seth has that mantle right now, but he's going to have to produce consistently to maintain the mantle during the season. So I do think his numbers are important. I do think he's going to play in an environment where he's going to have opportunities to score. But I don't know if he's going to have a Memphis and Dayton opportunities like a year ago. Remember, RG didn't play against Memphis in the exhibition game.
Yeah.
So there were a lot of things that Seth naturally had. In the Dayton game, they were trying to come back from 20 down, and they roared back, and Seth was hitting and had a really nice game. I think those two are outliers. I don't think that's Seth Trimble as a player. Now, if they can get in that 10 to 16 range from him pretty much on a regular basis, get the great defense, have sort of the same fluctuation with some rebounding and some assists and his defensive grade, that's what they would like from him. And that's enough for him to step forward and be that face. If he's struggling and ends up coming off the bench and he's averaging 6 points a game, he can only be so much of a voice of the team. They're then going to have to look elsewhere and find it from somebody else, which is why I think it's paramount to this team's success to be the best club they could be, that Seth is that guy. He needs to be a marked guy when it comes to that part of it. Maybe not the best player. It's possible that Henry or Cayenne or Luka or even Caleb Wilson post better numbers, and they're the guys who get the shot at crunch time when Hubert has to draw, or Jeff Lebo or Brad Frederick have to draw up something, right? So, but he does have to produce. He has to be able to have moments where the guys greet him at the foul line because he's going there for an N1. He does have to have moments where his dunk or three forces their team call timeout, so the guys go greet him as they come off the floor to the bench for the timeout. He has to have that, not a crap load of it, but he has to have a decent amount of that in order for his leadership role to continue and grow during the course of the season.
Yeah.
So for the one guy out there who's played in a Duke Carolina game, by the time that game rolls around, he needs to be able to speak to them in a manner where they listen. Mm-hmm. They hear him and they listen. You can hear something, but you got to listen to it as well. Those are attributes that he could bring to this team that don't come every year. Mm-hmm. They haven't had that combination of basketball intellect, understanding, sensitivity, utter passion, willingness to kind of go a few steps further than anybody else in what he says. They haven't had that for a while. And this team might need that because there's not a lot of typical Carolina DNA on the roster. So if you're going to have a guy there, he might as well be overflowing with it so he can spill some of it onto the other guys.
Before we wrap this up, I want to float out my theory, and I think I've said it on a podcast before, but I've got a theory for you, AJ. I think Seth Trimble, 1.3 assists per game last year. I think there is a reality where Seth Trimble does and maybe should lead this team in assists. And I feel that way because let's look at the point guard, Kyan Evans. Is he necessarily a pass first kind of point guard? No. He's a guy who likes to score on his own. He's a guy who likes, good from the outside, not necessarily a guy that's like going to just, my MO is creating opportunities for my team. It's not really what we've seen from him at Colorado State. He has that in some sample size, but that's not the strength of his game. I look at Seth Trimble and I say, okay, what are you really good at? Let's say you're out there with, this is a team that we think is going to be a better 3-point shooting team. It's definitely a taller team. I would say in a lot of ways more athletic team, but I think there are situations where on paper, at least all 5 guys out there, you'd have to at least respect from the outside to an extent. Would you agree with that? There will be lineups where you're going to have to respect at least 4 of the 5 guys from the outside.
Yes.
On paper based on what we've seen. Okay.
Yeah. But in combined with that, you could have 5 guys. Hubert says this, and I totally agree with him when he says this. You could have 5 shooters in the perimeter, but if they're not all makers at the same time, then you don't have to guard them all, and there's not as much space out there. I think what makes this so intriguing and could lend a little credence to what you're saying about Seth is they have the entry pass factor.
Yes.
Like I think a lot of entry passes last year died in the lane.
Oh God, yeah.
Entry passes now can lead directly to baskets. Mm-hmm. So it's another reason why Carolina was a low assist team last year. If you're getting assists by swinging the ball on the perimeter, you're getting assists because this is a good baseline team and they play a lot of back screen stuff and you're able to get lobs. I've already been told about lots of lobs, like the Henry Vesar to Caleb Wilson baseline back screen lob, or even Jaren Stevenson. That's there. And I'm going to tell you one other thing very quickly. I've been told by people that are sort of around the program, one said, don't be surprised to see Henry lead the team in assists this year.
Ooh.
Another one said, don't be surprised to see Caleb Wilson lead the team in assists this year.
I will be surprised
because of his willingness to distribute. Because he's not proven. David Sisk, I swear by him, he says, look, he is not yet proven he's a massive scoring guy.
No, he's not.
He's not Cooper Flagg in that sense. But he's a very willing distributor of the ball. He's a very willing player who connects with teammates at all times on the floor. It's not just, hey, buddy, he's my teammate. It's playing basketball and connecting. Caleb Wilson thrives off of playing off each other's games. And because of that, I was told that he might lead him in assists. Another person said it's going to be Kyan Evans because he truly is a point guard. And last year they spent so much time on a slower offense under Niko Medvedev trying to find Nick Clifford the ball. And sometimes Clifford had the ball when he came up the court, that there weren't as many assist opportunities. I think more assist opportunities will be there. So even if Seth doesn't lead them in that department, and by the way, sidebar for a moment, Seth says that he spent a ton of time this offseason working to be a lead guard on his handle, on his heads up, on his distribution, and all that kind of stuff. If he is that guy, I'm not going to say it's a negative or a major positive. I think it'll just be a byproduct of what this team is trying to be. And if you do have several guys in that 2.5 plus assist range, then that is the kind of team some people envision them being right now. A club that spreads the wealth. A lot of guys can find guys, and then they very well could have the ability to very quickly break off into a 2-man game. Very naturally, instinctively do that. And when you think of Seth Trimble, what do you think? Boy, I could see a 2-man game with that dude. So I could see Seth getting in some 2-man stuff and getting some assists to dudes rolling to the basket, driving and kicking out to the perimeter where the shot's actually made. He put some stuff out there last year, but the shots weren't made. So you can only get an assist if the cat you're giving the ball to puts the damn thing in the basket. So that's the other thing. So I think to your point, I think it's Seth, but that's a broader discussion. I think that's actually a daily drop at some point. Who leads this team in assists and why? And I might come in here that day and say, you know what? I think 5 or 6 guys are going to be around 2.4, 2.6, and then try to explain it away, or maybe even closer to 3. So that's kind of how I view Seth in that sense right now. A lot of that is to be determined.
Yeah, it's TBD. And that the theory I have on him leading the team in assists is more based on a gut feeling, but it's also based on just the skill sets that he has, because if you've got a lineup of four guys that you kind of have to at least respect from the perimeter a little bit, what that's going to cause is that's going to cause Seth Trimble to be in a lot of one-on-one situations. And again, he struggled last year finishing around the rim. But if you've got guys you can kick out to, from a defensive perspective, man, I mean, you have to almost help with Trimble. If he is athletic and bouncy as he is, if he can get in the lane and force somebody else to kind of drop in, you leave a guy open on the outside, you can get Seth obviously finishing around the rim, and he needs to improve on that. But you talk about a guy that pick his head up real quick and kick it out if this ends up being a better three-point shooting team that we expect it to be. So I just foresee these situations where either it's out in transition where Trimble maybe is leading it, or it's a situation where they're able to space the floor a little bit. Trimble's able to get his defender one-on-one, take it to the rim, either try to finish or kick it out. I mean, I can just foresee that him doing that countless times during the season. And if he has guys that can hit shots on the outside, it's going to lead to a lot of assists. So it is a theory, but it's just this gut feeling I've had for a while of like, let's say, I'll say this, even if he doesn't lead the team on assist, that 1.3 assists per game number has to at least double this year. I think there is no excuse for that at least doubling this year, because I think he has the skill sets to do it. And I think at least on paper, this roster is a team that should, keyword should, be a better three-point shooting team.
Let me add something to back up your gut feeling.
It's a gut feeling.
I think this is going to be a much better defensive team. They brought in a lot of A and A-plus defenders. Seth is already an existing A-plus defender. If they're able to force turnovers, whether it's in the full court, three-quarter court, half court, whatever it is, they're able to force some turnovers, and he either kicks it up ahead to somebody real fast, they get a bucket, he gets an assist out of it, or let's say you get in transition some, and you could find a lot of teammates in transition after forcing a turnover, or forcing a bad shot that you rebound and you get going. Let's say Seth gets a rebound, or let's say Jaren Stevenson gets a rebound off a forced missed shot on the other end, and he quickly gets it to Seth, and Seth is getting up the court with his head up, and there's Kyan cutting, there's Luka cutting, there's Caleb cutting, whoever, and he gets it to him in transition, and they score. It's not just about half-court assists. It's about full-court assists, too, and I think that that's something that we could see a byproduct of much improved defense is just simply more run-out opportunities. And when there are run-outs, there are a lot of assists that are attached to buckets and run-outs, so I can see Seth adding to his numbers there as well.
It's a great point. That's a great point. And I think that, again, kind of leads to the argument I'm saying of like, we're not even really talking about what he can do in transition. I'm glad you brought that up. I didn't mention it, but you are right. He's a guy out in transition that either is very difficult to defend and should get a lot of points in transition, but could also lead the break and kick it off to other guys that and really be a problem. So there is a lot of things to like about Seth Trimble's game. On the court, off the court, leadership ability. I just think he's going to be a very key player for North Carolina this year if they are to have a good season, which I know a lot of Carolina fans are expecting. If Carolina has a good season this year, AJ, Seth Trimble will have a good season. I don't foresee a year where Carolina's pretty dang good, but man, Seth Trimble's numbers have dropped quite a lot. I don't think that will happen or could happen. I think Trimble is going to be a massive factor on this team, and it's not really rocket science.
You need him thriving, and you need his game growing right up to the last whistle.
Yeah, if he just finishes around the rim more consistently, AJ, I mean, those points per game numbers, which already doubled last year, are going to go up even more just based off that, because he will get those opportunities. So, yeah, I'm very intrigued to see what kind of year he has, but I'm expecting a big season out of Seth Trimble. I feel like that's one you can, out of anybody, pencil in and feel pretty good about. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I want to do this, AJ. I want people to get involved in the comments. Let us know about Trimble, but here's the question I have for you, because you brought it up, and I brought it up too. Who leads the team in assists? We're going to do a separate drop on that at some point, but get involved in the comments. Who do you think is going to lead? Do you agree that Trimble could or maybe should be the guy? Or do you think it could be a Vasar or Caleb Wilson like AJ talked about? I want to hear from these people in the comments. I'm very intrigued to see what the consensus is from our watchers and our listeners. So,
I predict 5 different names.
Yeah. Oh God, it's going to be a few. I agree. You're going to see some Evan shouts. You're going to see some Trimble shouts. You're going to see maybe a Vasar or Wilson in there too. I think there's going to be quite a few. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what people have to say. All right. We didn't get out in 15 minutes, but maybe like 20. That's pretty good. We did waste about 5 minutes in the beginning. So that's on us. But We like to have fun with these when we can. So I've been Jacob Turner. He's been Andrew Jones. Another edition of our UNC basketball look ahead series, wrapping up Seth Trimble week at TarHeal247.com. Head on over to our website, links in the description below, and go see all the content that we rolled out this week. And also, if you want to come on and sign up, do that. Links in the description, and make sure you follow us on all our social media channels as well. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. See y'all next time. Thanks.